That's a
forward to
no-brainer.
I want to do a little forward looking at the same time as we do a little looking back, because I think so much of the book is kind of intermixed in the conversations that you've been having about so much current news going on. One of which you gave an answer talking with good guys at Pod Save America when you likened the Israeli government to an apartheid state. And there was a lot of conversation online about that. I think some people said that, I saw some headlines that were saying essentially Newsom is kind of reading the direction of the room. He's licking the finger, seeing where the wind is blowing, seeing the polls, seeing that. The genocide that is being carried out by the Israeli government is incredibly unpopular with every single American broadly. And they're saying you're just reading that and you don't actually believe what you said there, or it's kind of like a shape-shifting move by you. But it made me think back to 2004 when you risked your own political career talking about and moving forward with marrying gay and lesbian couples in San Francisco, and how
Black and white movie days.
But how party leaders didn't want to talk to you because of it. You kind of got, you'll read it in the book, a little skirt. President Obama didn't necessarily want to talk to you.
He became a rock star and champion on it.
But you also mentioned that Senator Dianne Feinstein, who was one of your political mentors, how after the 2004 election kind of blamed you and said that you restarted this conversation, and it kind of history echoes a little bit. In the same way, 2004 DNC, you're a rising star, weren't invited. 2024 DNC, we let every group talk except for Palestinian Americans. And then that's the group of people that we blame, saying that it's their fault, and not reckoning, realizing, talking about reaching out to people who are seeing their entire families lost in what every expert has called a genocide. And now they're saying Newsom's just reading the room. So what was your reaction to seeing that, of Newsom's just reading the room?
Well, I didn't, thank God I don't read comments. I would literally be, in some locked room right now if I did. But if you read the book, you'll also understand my connection to history. I grew up, many members of my family are Jewish. My aunt, Cindy, was married to Ed Asner, the actor, for years and years and years. And she's a big part of this book as well. My uncle Paul Scheer, and first time I went to Israel with him and family, and so I grew up JCC camp every summer, Camp Tawanga, which is my favorite camp. And so I was very much part of particularly in the Bay Area, San Francisco Jewish community. I went to Israel a week or two after October 7th. I met with President Herzog. I met with Bibi in a bunker. Before I left, I got crates because we brought a field hospital. I went to the hospital in Israel to meet with victims and family members after the atrocities of October 7th. And so I want to level set on that basis. What I can't accept today, though, is what Bibi Netanyahu is doing in Israel. And I just can't countenance that. And that was, good people can disagree. I don't like the direction he's going. And I was specifically referring to a Tom Friedman column last week where Tom used that word of apartheid as it relates to the direction Bibi is going, particularly on the annexation of the West Bank. And I can't sit back in the spirit of this book, in the spirit, that define marriage equality, and this, in terms of, my values and beliefs, and watch that. I disagree with Bibi on, I went on Meet the Press. I said, it was about a year ago, he was doubling down on stupid, just abandoning a two-state solution. And so, yeah, I'm pointed in that respect, and I'm very angry with what he is doing and why he's doing it. What he's going to ultimately try to do to the Supreme Court there, what he's trying to do to save his own political career. And so forgive that outrage. I'm very angry about this war, with all due respect. Not because I'm angry the Supreme Leader's dead, quite the contrary. I'm not naive about the last 37 years of his reign, 47 years since 79, the revolution. But I'm also mindful that you have a president who still is inarticulate and incapable of giving us the rationale of why. Why now? What's the end game? And then the zig and zag, the justifications, and you know, I'm trying to deal with 2 million people that are going to lose their health insurance in the state of California because of that big, beautiful betrayal. 2 million. No other state harder hit than the state of California. Tax cuts for billionaires, Medicaid being cut, Medicare being impacted, food stamps, all of those things happening, and now we're not helping folks in LA. They haven't done a damn thing about that wildfires last year. Not a dollar of support, not one penny. One of the worst natural disasters in American history, not a penny. But now we're overseas, and now we've got a regional war, and we have allies shooting down our planes. We have 6 Americans, including a young man, younger than me, who lives in Sacramento, California, who just died. So yeah, forgive me. I've got strong opinions about some of these things, and I think it's important to express them.